Hi there, my name's Dan Graham from Gothic Instruments. Our biggest product range is the Drone R series, but we've also got the SCULPTOR series, which is sound design. So it's for creating really powerful sound effects to augment your productions, and that could be anything from epic trailer music to just really anything pop, hip hop, just any kind of production that needs big impacts, drops, rises, all these frills that really add punctuation and power and excitement. So that's the SCULPTOR series. This particular one is the Epic Drops, which is literally drops that are epic in size. And I'll just play a few. I'll just quickly go through the fact that we've got on each drop that you load, there's 15 different sounds spread across 15 different keys. So if you listen, it's the first one. You can see just under where it says to the right fall, each sound is made up of two different sounds. And on most of the presets, we've actually got it set quite far towards one particular sound rather than the other to give you quite a clean sound. What happens when you mix two sounds, you tend to get much more of a noise quality. So by blending two separate sounds together, you just get more frequencies, and in a way that's good because it mixes well in a mix, because a high noise component is almost like, you know, snare drums and cymbals. It'll kind of mix with anything because it's all whoosh. So I mean, let's say as an example, say this one, electroshocker. If you hear it at full electroshocker, you get it. That's already a very noisy sound. And then the other component is screeching the sci-fi. And then in the middle, so it's much more of a wide band noise type sound when you have it in the middle. Okay, so each drop is made of two separate sounds mixed together. You've got a variety of controls that includes the time of the fall measured in bars. So this is currently set to 2. You can see where it says fall time. If I move that to half, it's half a bar. 1 is 1 bar, and if I go right to the top, 8 bars. You can see that the animation helpfully gives you a sense of it dropping slowly, and if you know, once you've enjoyed the animation a few times, you might want to turn it off. And if you want to do that, there's this button, animation on off. Okay, so if I turn that off, there you go. No magic lights, but we like the magic lights. Anyway, so there's one important dial in the middle, or button, which is the dice. You can see right in the middle at the tip of the inverted pyramid. So press that and it just will randomly go through your sounds. Each time you press it, you'll get a different sound. Attack time, this gives you a long fade in, so if you turn that up full, you'll get, so that's good for a softer drop. And 0 attack time, a faster drop. This button, super, what it's actually on at the moment. Turn this off. What super does is it's inspired by the super saw effect, and what it does, it just creates 3 versions of the same sound, but panned left and right and detuned, and that gives you it just gives you a kind of a big, thick, fat sound. So on its own, there you go. It's much more of a kind of a clean, identifiable sound where you can hear what's going on. Which, if I turn down the delay, which is right on the left, like an echo, and then on the right turn down reverb, you can hear the dryness even better. So turn on super, and you get more of a... Okay, I mean, you're going to hear that effect more with earphones on because it's panning out sound, mixing three together to get a bigger sound. Okay, so decay shape, which is underneath the super button there. What that does is it's the shape of the slope of the decay as the sound progresses and fades out. So if you've got that at 0, it gives you as much of the release part of the sound as possible, the decay part of the sound. So that's what we've been hearing is a, you know, the full ending. Try a different sound. Right, so I'll turn up decay shape to full, and so it fades out sooner. So it depends what you want. It depends what you're doing. If like I've just changed the fall time to half bar. Try a different sound. So it's a short, sharp fade out. So you might want that. You might want it somewhere in the middle, or you might want it at 0, where you're going to get much more of a sound in there. The rows along the bottom of the main interface, there's a velocity setting, which at full affects it maps the velocity of the key that you press to the loudness of the sound. So at full, then if you hit the key really softly, then you're going to get a quiet sound. At 0 velocity, that's me pressing it softly. Pressing it hard, it's the same. So this controls the amount of velocity sensitivity. F is for filter. Can be very good for very sub-bassy type rumbly sounds. Q is the it's the amount of resonance of the filter. V to F just there, that's velocity to filter. So if you've got the filter quite low and velocity quite high, then what you can do there is if you press it softly, you get a much lower filter sound. Press it hard, so that gives you a lot of velocity control. Envelope to filter, that just maps as the sound decaying away, it will drop the filter. So if I turn that up, you can hear as the sound progresses the filter drops, and that could be useful. Tune is it like a pitch, so if you turn it up high, that could be very useful for these type of sounds, especially when there's a lot of noise in them, because it's not like kind of it's not like a tom sound that's got a lot of pitched note in it. A lot of these sounds have got a lot of noise in them, and so they still sound like noise whether it's high or low, but you just get a more, a bright kind of noise or a deep kind of noise. High EQ next to that's like a tone control that actually flips between a few different types of EQs and filters, so that if you turn it up full, you're effectively getting quite a bright gain at the top, as well as a lot of the low end being filtered out. So and then you turn it right down to at the bottom, that's taking a bit off the top, and it's also boosting the bottom. So it's a bit of a kind of a quick way of getting 4 or 5 different EQ controls and putting them all into one, and just saying, do you want it medium, bright, or dark, or somewhere in between. So, and rel is release, that's just the release time. So if I press the key to round off with it up full, then it carries on decaying. If I turn it to 0, there you go. Okay, so the other thing that I can say is useful on this is to use the Alt button on your keyboard, because we've got these 15 separate sounds and they've all got different settings. Actually, they've all got quite similar settings here, but here's the one I just did with its short release, and here's a different sound on the key next to it. You can see all the settings jump because it remembers the settings that you've put in for every key. So, but if you want to change every key at the same time, because you just want a set of 15 sounds that all have a similar quality, perhaps they're all detuned or they're all very distorted or compressed or something. Ignore what I said about compression and distortion, because they're actually effects that go at the end of all the sounds, so they automatically affect all the sounds. Well, are you following this? Because I've just said a few sentences all in brackets, and by now I think you need at least an IQ of 300 to know what I'm talking about, and unfortunately that leaves me behind, and I've therefore lost track. So just to recap or rescue where I am, what I was trying to say there is that if you want to change all the sounds at once across all 15 sounds, press the Alt key on the keyboard at the same time as changing a setting. So if I am holding down the Alt key now on my keyboard, now I'm going to take the filter setting, and lower it right down. So now, if I take the sound that I've got there, actually I'll lower the envelope to filter as well so you can hear. Well, basically they all sound so low that you can't hear them. Right, so I'll turn up the filter so you can hear it. So what we've got there is the filter is now at that same setting for every key. So this is the way we can quickly go through every key and change them all at once. It's by using the Alt key on your keyboard. There we go. The second page, there's only 2 pages on this Epic Drops. The other page is Master Effects, and as the name Master implies, this is at it's like at the master end of the chain, the audio chain. So everything you do here will affect every single sound, and it's got a real basic set of things. Drive is a kind of valve distortion. Comp is a compressor. There's a filter there with a few different modes. There's the master, delay and reverb effects, which you can on all the separate sounds you can have different send levels, so you can have different amounts of reverb and delay on each one of the 15 sounds. And that's because, going back to the main page, you've got this delay send and reverb send. So each one of the 15 sounds is all sending different reverb and delay levels into the master, delay and reverbs, which you can then change the characteristics like size and level and dampening and panning. Okay, so that was a quick whistle stop tour. Well, okay, there's the gator as well, which is an effect which you could hear a lot better with more filter. Yeah, that can be pretty good for this kind of sound. There we go. A wide gate, thin gate. And here's the rate, which is actually connected to the tempo of your project in your sequencer. So, and it jumps from like straightforward beat divisions like triplets at quarters, eighth notes and sixteenths. Okay, there you go. I think that's the basic thing. Now what I'm going to do now is show you in the actual presets that you get with this. It's really the same 8 sounds over and over again, but with variations on each of the 8 sounds. Now you catch me in a unique point in time where I haven't finished creating the presets, but this gives me the ability now to create one of my presets right in front of your very eyes. So what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this. Now I'm going to load in one of the clean sounds which I've already created. This is one called Clean Distorted. It might seem like a contradiction, but it just means that the raw material is from this distorted set that Alessandro Camnasio created, and it's clean because it's really kept as it is as much as possible. There's very little going on with audio manipulation, so there's no reverb, no delay, no filter, no gain, there's no drive, there's very little compression. It's really just as I'd like to say as God intended it, but in this case the God is Alessandro Camnasio, who is a god of audio. Okay, so this is clean distorted. So it's distorted, but it's distorted by amazing, software and equipment by Alessandro in his secret bunker. Now what I'm going to do here is just change the name to Vast Distorted, and I'm going to convert this into one of the Vast sounds. And what I've done, the different categories that I've got of like clean, hyped, dark, vast, and the others, each one really takes the same basic 8 sounds, and it just does something a little bit different to each sound. And the purpose of this is to give you a very fast access to a lot of different sounds, without you having to just sort of go over and over again tweaking everything. So I've done that for you so that you don't have to. So all I've done is, for example, I've taken the clean distorted sound, and I'm going to turn that into the vast distorted sound by just changing a few settings, and I'm holding down the Alt button so that it changes that parameter across all 15 drop sounds. Okay, so here's like the first one on the bottom C. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on super, because of course that's going to make it a bit more vast. And then let's see, I'm going to turn up the reverb and delay to, and I've written like a little recipe for myself. So it's 5 lights up. Okay, so I'm holding down the Alt key, just double check. Yeah, that's changed those settings on all of them. So now every sound has got super on, and every sound has got reverb and delay at 5 notches. So that immediately just gives it a bit more size. And I'm also going to change the decay shape, which, if you remember, when that's turned down to 0, what that does is it kind of gives you a longer, flatter decay. So instead of it sharply dropping and going, it's more. So that's all I've done. All I've done is just taken those basic settings and changed them. And what we've got now is a sound that's it's very similar in character to the clean sounds, but the reverb delay give it more size, but it's not too much reverb delay, so it's not drowning. And the super gives it a bit more size. The decay shape going down to 0 also makes the tail bigger. Sorry, I keep banging this mic. So it's just those few simple settings, immediately just giving you the vast sound. So I'm now going to save that. And when you load that up in your product, when you've downloaded it, you'll see that this sound was created live on a recording right now. So that was the moment in history that Vast Distorted came into being, from potential to actual. And I think you can agree it was quite a moment. Okay, so that gives you a good overview of everything. You know how it all works now, and you know that you've got no excuse. You can't just sit there playing with the presets and going, yeah, that'll have to do. What you know you've got all these controls. You can get a completely different sound by adding a bit of drive, which gives it a bit of distortion, filtering it either on the main page there, or there's another filter in the main page, so you can really sort of put the distortion into a filter. And you can heavily change the character of the sound, whether it's long, short, distorted, more wide. So you've got no excuse just to sit there going, I'll choose one of these presets. Instead, you should get one that sounds good, or you should have in your mind what you're trying to achieve, and then just get to work. changing a few really basic simple controls and make it your own. Okay, over and out. I hope you enjoyed this little video showing you a little bit about how SCULPTOR Epic Drops works. I'm going now. Goodbye.